All right. Okay. I'd like to call the regular council meeting of the City of Twinsburg City Council to order, the July 9th meeting. Mr. Fury, would you like to do that?
Sure.
We'll join Mr. Fury for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Roll
Or,
call.
excuse me. Let's call the roll first. I apologize.
Mr. Steele?
Here.
Ms. McFerrin? Here. Mrs. Stoffer? Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here. Okay, next. Now we'll join Mr. Fury for the invocation.
Father, we seek your guidance for the business that is before us. In planning for the future of the city of Twinsburg, give us vision. Guide us to make decisions that are not self-serving, but for the betterment of our community, so we can continue to move forward in a positive direction. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shannon, procedural thing. Did anybody sign up to talk to us?
Yes.
Okay, good. Great. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 25th, 2019 meeting. Does anybody have any additions, subtractions, objections? Okay. Make a motion, we approve the minutes from the 25th meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yep. Mr. Fury seconds. Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is awards and presentations. Mayor, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. This is a very special occasion, so I'd like to get Gina to come on up here. I'd like the chief to come on up. So, AC, you gonna come up? No, you taking pictures? It doesn't happen very often where we get to swear in captains in our fire department, and it's a special time for me. This is the first captain I've been able to swear in. All of our captains have been here a long time and really served our community well, and I know Gina is a tremendous asset to our fire department and is thought of very highly both inside and outside of the department, with our employees and with our community also. So I know this is a very exciting time, and I know Chief would like to say a few words.
Sure, just by way of background, Gina joined us as a part-time firefighter medic back in '97, became a full-time firefighter in '99, and was promoted to lieutenant in 2006. And through that whole time, she has vigorously pursued education and training, and she teaches at several different schools in the area, in the fire service. And she's also worked with a couple other departments in different capacities, including in Willoughby. She worked for Mel House, the retired chief, who's now the executive director of the EMS for the state of Ohio, his laid-back retirement job. So she's got some great friends in some great places, but she's been a great asset to us, and we're just looking forward to just seeing her continue to excel and continue to put her fingerprints all over the Twinsburg Fire Department. So congratulations, Gina.
And I know one of her special tasks is to train some of our young explorers that are here tonight. So I know she's really excited about the work she's able to do with them. So I'm glad they were able to come out to share this moment with her. But you ready to be sworn in? If you could raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Gina DeVito Staub, do hereby swear that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio, the Charter, ordinances, and resolutions of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio, and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties as a fire captain of the Twinsburg Fire Department to the best of my ability as I shall answer to God. Congratulations. Would you like to share anything?
They gave me a mic. I'll try to keep this short. Anyway, thank you, everyone. I could have never done this without everyone's help and support. I appreciate everything that you've done to help me get where I'm at, and hopefully we can go much farther. Thank you, everyone.
Happens.
It's our background music for you.
Sorry.
All right, congratulations again.
Yeah.
I guess there's cake.
Next on the agenda is we're going to take a break for
Break for
cake. 10 minutes, 15, we'll go 15,
break
how's
for
that?
cake.
We'll be back here at quarter till? All right, quarter till, we'll resume our meeting. Thank you. Back to the meeting. We are on number 5, audience participation. Shannon, who would like to talk to us?
Yep, first we have Chuck Bonacci.
Chuck Bonacci, 11327 Heritage Drive. City Council, Mayor, ladies, people of influence. I stand before you in honor of the great Dee Snider. In 1985, I raced home from school to get a civics lesson. And the civics lesson was about freedom of speech. And that day forward, I became a fan of heavy metal. Seriously. Thank you so much. I'm one resident. I've lived in this town since 1983. I had the most fun that I could remember in Twinsburg since 1983. We're talking before McDonald's opened up. We're talking before the new Dairy Queen came. We're talking before all the things that I thought I loved about Twinsburg. They built to a crescendo that happened on June 28th. And it was epically awesome. And here's why. In 1994, I had 4 tickets to see Metallica. I was supposed to take my brother. I was going to go with one of my friends. And they didn't trust me with my 12-year-old brother to go see Danzig, Suicidal Tendencies, and Metallica. And they didn't trust me, so my dad was supposed to go. But my dad fell the week before and broke his hip. So my mom, a retired preschool teacher, Brian, you remember, the most gentle woman that you could ever imagine, got to go see Metallica. And we're on the lawn in Blossom, and we're at the front of the lawn, and people are lighting crap on fire, and they're throwing it, and it's epically heavy metal and awesome. And my mom is there with her Mickey Mouse book bag, and she is saying, these guys are good. Unfortunately, 25 years later, she doesn't have the stamina to go to a show with me anymore. But thanks to Rock the Park, she was able to revisit Metallica. And my dad, who missed the show in '94, was able to come too. And Rock the Park was epically awesome. Heavy Metal Night was awesome. We endured a little bit of a weather challenge. We ate some food. We drank all of the beverage. And as the sun set, we were greeted by the most beautiful rainbow in the dark, sent down by maybe Ronnie James Dio as a tribute to Twinsburg entering the heavy metal family. You guys know who Dio is? Good. Rainbow in the dark. And it was epically awesome. And we were treated to 2 unique genres of heavy metal that typically don't come together. Hardly ever do you see on the same stage glam rock, Sunset Strip, thrash, San Francisco, New York, heavy metal on the same stage. And the metal community came together. More importantly, Twinsburg came together. And we had a great night. I saw the youngest fan there was under 1, and the oldest one, we'll just assume that they were in their 70s and enjoying retirement and having a great time. between the headbanging, I began to talk to people that were around me, and I learned that Twinsburg really ranks well when compared to our neighboring community to the south, Hudson. Because these two Hudson residents said to me, and specifically one of them who was there, said, we don't have an amphitheater in Hudson, we don't have a Rock the Park in Hudson, and we certainly don't have heavy metal night in Hudson. And this woman was up there in her vintage crew shirt. We're talking like a 1980 style crew shirt, devil horns up, singing every word to 10 Seconds to Love, a soccer mom from Hudson. I loved it. Freedom of speech. It's awesome. I want to thank those who made our community's heavy metal night possible. Without the recreation department and Derek and Ryan, without all of their staff, and without Chris's crew to set it all up, and all the folks that sell all the beverages and all the other stuff, and the food trucks and all that stuff, and the sponsors like the Studio Wish and the Strachan Novich, the insurance guys, we wouldn't have these epically awesome things that the communities around us don't have. I have friends that live in Solon, that community to the north, and they're trying to build something, and they're trying to copy what Rock the Park is, except they're running into all kinds of grief about it won't be as good. It won't be as good is what I'm hearing from them. So that's awesome that we have these great assets. And like a lot of people come up here and they say what they're going to say, and we forget that there is good stuff that happens in the city. And in all seriousness, coming up in the fall, we have some good things going on with the Environmental Commission.
Liked your Facebook thing.
And we're going to have a community cleanup, and we're going to have a document shredding and recycle event. And it's great opportunities for the city to put forth a little effort and the residents to partake in a little bit of things that make Twinsburg a little bit better. And trust me, I hope that someday again we'll have another heavy metal night at Rock the Park, because we've had enough disco nights and enough we've had enough. And heavy
What about
metal,
Southside Johnny? Can't you do Southside
How about
Johnny?
Rush? I'll meet you.
All right, okay.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Next, we have Daisy Walker.
Our misgotten youth.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Maestros, council, and staff. I'm going to make this quick. I contacted Erica Miglet, and she's from Moldrite Company on Highland Road regarding Adopt a Street program. And what that means that Moldrite Company wants to be a part of our cleanup program, and they will be adopting a street which is part of Highland Road. And what we're going to do is, Amy Moore, Mr. Maestros, and we will be working on the documentation on this program, and then it will probably end up being a resolution to be passed probably around September or October. And Moldrite is really excited about it. We're in contact constantly about when will they be able to clean up Highland Road, and I hope to get everything finished by the time we have our annual cleanup, which is October, I think it's October 12th? October 12th. October 12th, yes, okay, thank you. Okay, Kevin Elkins, he's a facility manager at Rockwell Automation on Highland Road. He's requesting a letter so his company can come and clean up Highland Road. I think that's absolutely wonderful that they're calling the commissioners and say, I want to be a part of this cleanup. So the word has gotten out as to what the Environmental Commission and the residents are keeping Twinsburg naturally beautiful with the cleanup. So also included in the letter, he said that if we needed anything, that he will provide it. So if council or staff or Mr. Maestros or Mr. Mayor, if you think we need like bags for a cleanup for us, if you need recycling bags to take to the grocery store, since Giant Eagle hasn't answered me yet, they'll provide that for us, t-shirts, whatever we need, let me know so I could work on that. Also, the Environmental Commission, we're looking for Twinsburg residents who have volunteered to pick up trash throughout the city in Twinsburg. The prerequisite is you have to have cleaned up at least 5 years or more in the city of Twinsburg. And we're going to need this information before our annual cleanup, which is in October, and we will honor these people with a letter of recommendation. We've done this 2 years ago, so this is our year to do it right now. Keep America Beautiful has a cigarette butt grant for cities in Ohio who have a cigarette litter prevention program. The Environmental Commission will be working on a cigarette butt prevention program. And just some information about the cigarette butts, they make up 32% of litter in the storm drains. So you wonder why your storm drains won't hold all the water, because they're full of butts. 95% of cigarette butts are composed of cellulose acetate, which takes about 35 years to decompose. Just that little bitty butt, 35 years. The grant will be for $2,000, and it's open until November 2019. So we're going to hurry up and write that grant. Plus, I just want to let you know that I read something or saw something about this mother bird was feeding her baby bird a cigarette butt because it looked like food. Now we don't want that to happen to our flying critters. My heart, you know, I just have a heart for that, and I just don't think it's fair that we are doing this to some of our animals. And so Patrick Jeffers and I, we're going to be pursuing this grant. Also, Keep Ohio Beautiful Paint Grant Program, which is part of Keep Ohio Naturally Beautiful, is working with Sherwin-Williams. And Sherwin-Williams is getting Keep Ohio Naturally Beautiful in Columbus, who's going to house all of this paint. And we could write a grant for the free paint, and they'll give you up to 40 gallons of exterior paint. And if we could use that to paint or repaint the community center, to repaint the fire hydrants, doors, whatever we need repainted in the city of Twinsburg, please let me know. This grant, it will be open again in February of 2020. So let me know where you want that paint to be spread around. That's all I need, and 40 gallons can go a long way. And one more thing, I just want to thank whoever was in charge in repaving Chamberlain Road. What a great job. I mean, I could ride down Chamberlain Road. I don't have to ride like I'm drunk because I don't drink. But you know, you're just dodging all of the potholes and all the cracks and whatever.
Check the manholes.
And I just want to say thank you, whoever did that Highland Road, Chamberlain Road, that's what it is. It is great. I mean, the white lines are there, and it's just wonderful. And thank you again for keeping Twinsburg naturally beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy.
Next, we have Michael Turl.
Good evening, Council Mayor. Twice in one night. Haven't done that. Glad I didn't have to follow Chuck right away. That would have been a tough act to follow. Michael Turl, 9930 Forest Lake Drive. I am here to speak about Twinsburg Old School. You guys never saw that coming, right? I wanted to clarify a few things. Last time I was in here, it's been, I don't know, a couple months or so. Mr. Fury said something about, I thought it was absolutely hilarious how Mike wanted to save the old school because it, because it was made of red brick, ha 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 ha. Yeah, no, that you kind of missed the whole meeting or something, because what we were out to save the building for was of the historical significance of the building. The red brick had pertained to the architectural style of the Western Reserve style. So I just wanted to be, clear so you understood it. I'm not a red brick nut. I mean, my dad was a bricklayer, and we got brick all over my mom and dad's house, but it was the actual architectural design of the building, which is the Western Reserve, which is actually mimicked right outside here in these things. And it was, kind of really ironic, because Mr. Finch came up and said that red brick is not commonly used very strongly throughout Twinsburg, as he's standing right in front of this very red brick wall. Can you pan the camera over here, Mark, so people at home can see that? Because he missed it on the way up here. Red brick is all of our city buildings, but that was my point that I was making, but that point was lost along the way, so I just kind of wanted to clarify that. The Twinsburg Old School did pass the Ohio State's qualifications for being listed as a historical building. They recommended it for it to be put to the federal list, where we could have received a lot of federal grants, but we didn't have time because someone was in a big hurry to knock the place down. You know, and so we took a $2.7 million building, spent $500K to knock it down, and now the big plan is to sell for $1 million, so we profit $500,000 on a building that was worth $2.7 million. So we basically just threw away $2.2 million. That's not a good real estate move there. Mr. Fury also said early on in the whole process that we spent millions of dollars working on that building. So I said, okay, cool, show me the public records. I want to see that. I'm just clarifying all these facts. They seem to get lost or twisted or spun. Maybe he doesn't quite remember correctly. We spent millions of dollars on this, so I said, okay, public records, I want to see every nickel, dime, and penny spent on this thing. I got records of the city of Twinsburg spending $180,000 total on the building. I saw $30,000 for a chairlift, $70,000 for a new roof, you know, little stuff here and there. Ironically, the one from my dad who built the red brick sign out in front, you know, that bill was stacked right on top. That was kind of a cool message that someone was sending to me for $4,000. Then I'm finding receipts for $35 for paint and rollers. Okay, I'll tally that up, and you know, but I came up with a grand total of $180,000 that the city spent on that building over the course of 18 years. So it was not millions of dollars. So there was a little bit of mistake there. In the stack of public records, I also got a audit trail report that showed that the city of Twinsburg spent $700,000 over this entire time for all the utilities: water, sewer, gas, electric, phone, cable. I'm sorry if I'm boring some of you guys that have been here, but we have more than a few new members that missed this whole thing. I just want them to be clear as to where I was on this. We spent $700,000 of our tax dollars on this building for utilities. We were told over and over and over, Kent State University paid all their utilities. Okay, well, I'm seeing where the city of Twinsburg pays these utilities. Show me where Kent reimbursed the city. And that was never, ever given to me. So as far as I'm concerned, Kent lived there rent-free. And then I'm told, well, Kent won't show, you know, they're not going to release our records. Well, my city should absolutely have records. If, you know, they're getting money from Kent, we should have some kind of paper trail of the money coming back into us from Kent. So I don't believe that ever really happened. So $700,000. Then Mr. Fury looks into it for me and he says, oh, well, that was, you know, after, you know, that was the city's portion that we paid. Well, the receipts that I have are showing clearly the dates that it was when Kent occupied the entire building. So that was another little faux pas there. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, I went on for like 3 years with this whole thing. I just wanted to clear up those quick little things. I have to at least appreciate Mr. Yates when I did go in and speak with him about trying to give one last ditch effort. Mr. Yates says, we just don't want to do that. And I mean, he was brutally honest, so I mean, I can appreciate that. I mean, at least when someone's honest with you, you know where you stand. But, you know, I'm sad that the place is gone. It's a moot point now, but don't make fun of me because of it. That's just mean. That's just rude, you know? And you're laughing, and you're going to give me a little zinger when I go back there when I can't say anything more. I know it. And that's not working for you people, you know? We don't want to do that. At least this guy's honest. I don't remember that. I don't remember that. You probably don't remember any of this stuff. That's whatever. I mean, it's fact, and I got all these facts at home. You sure do want that golf clubhouse. And you told us, I want to sell that property up there so I can pay for that clubhouse. And the people got that message. Is that my time? Yep. Okay. People got that message and they voted it down, and I hope they vote it down again, because you built something without any way to pay for it. And it's on you. Thank you.
That is all we have this evening.
As I recall, the last time you were here, you were standing in the back of the room yelling at me, where's my $20 million bill, right before the mayor did a financial presentation. I do not recall ever telling you, nor have ever heard the figure of $1.7 million being used on that on the old school. None of the paperwork that I've seen from the city ever said that that building was worth $2.7 million at the time that we were looking to clear the lot for downtown redevelopment. That's just not true. And you did come to a council meeting and tell us with pictures of buildings all around the city that that needs to be saved because it's a red brick, and you had a brick in your hand. To the best of my knowledge, it was well-researched whether that was a historical building or not. And we didn't do that in a short period of time. Taking down the old school for downtown redevelopment was discussed over an 8-year period. So I just think you're factually incorrect. But thank you.
If I may, I forgot to add on there. And I'll be 10
Mike.
seconds. It was listed in 2007 on the city records as a historically significant building, and the
Michael.
Architectural Review Board in 2013
Michael.
declared it again a historically significant building, and you were at that meeting.
Michael.
Thank you.
Actually, the building was listed on a comprehensive plan
Okay.
review, not a historical. I'm a member of council. I can respond to anything I want at this point unless the president silences me. You brought up my name a half a dozen times in this tirade, and I'm just simply calmly responding back to the best of my knowledge what was factual and what was inaccurate. Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of the audience participation. Correct. Next, we are on to council communication and committee reports. I'm going to start. I was here earlier this evening for the Finance and the Public Safety Committee meeting. I won't report on those. I'll let the chairman of those two committees make the reports. So next on the list, Mr. Belling.
Good evening. I hope everyone had a happy and safe 4th of July holiday. I also attended this evening's Safety Committee and Finance Committee meetings. I also attended the public hearing this evening for the proposed rezoning of the property at 91 and Glenwood. I do want to thank sincerely all those residents that came out and had their voices heard. The Architectural Review Board met on Tuesday, July 2nd. There was a single case on the agenda that evening. Case 190759 was an enclosed porch at 2050 Meadowwood Boulevard. It was approved as submitted. The next Architectural Review Board meeting will be held on Thursday, July 18th, 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. The next Golf Advisory Board meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 16th at 6:30 p.m. here in Council Chambers. That concludes my report for this evening. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Barr.
Good evening, thank you. I'd like to just echo Mr. Belling's sentiments. I appreciate everybody that took the time to share their opinions with us at the public hearing earlier this evening. I did attend the Finance Committee with most of my peers here this evening, and the Safety Committee. Being the chair of that, I'll give you a brief report. Basically, the Safety Committee discussed our continued diligence with our no on-street city parking. Basically, we agreed that the strategy we have is working. The department is going to continue to advise and enforce parking in the city of Twinsburg as appropriate. And just a reminder to all residents that if you do need parking permission, please contact the non-emergency number of the Twinsburg Police Department and put in a parking permission request. In most cases, that should not be an issue. We also discussed the some crosswalks here in the city, specifically markings and signs. Post Road at the Liberty Road Nature Center entrance was an area that was discussed this evening, as was Neely Lane and Liberty Road over by the ball fields down by Liberty Park. There, I think, is going to be some further discussion on that. I think that we may take a look at the possibility of doing a signalized location at the Neely Lane and Liberty intersection there to aid in crossing with all the sports with the young kids. Chief Morgan was here this evening and presented some preliminary plans regarding a fire department cadet and recruit program. And at first blush, they really look like a good opportunity for us to train some of our young people that are interested in pursuing careers in fire service that have perhaps been involved in our Explorer program previously. And this could be a real great way to retain some talent that we have here, people that are interested in public safety, because it's becoming harder and harder to attract qualified candidates. So if we can get them in here young and train them and they can get a little something out of it, we can get a little something out of it. I think there's really some good potential for this, so I want to thank the chief for being here. That basically concluded the safety committee meeting. Our next meeting is not until next year, 2020. The meetings for safety committee will be determined later in September of this year when that schedule is made up. Planning Commission has the month of July off, so the next Planning Commission meeting is going to be at 7 p.m. here in Council Chambers on Monday, August 5th. So anybody that would like to attend that. The Environmental Commission meeting, our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, the 3rd, right after the Labor Day holiday. And that'll be here in Council Chambers at 7 p.m. And I'd just like to thank Ms. Walker. She had a pretty extensive report tonight. And I just think it goes to show the level of commitment that the people that volunteer for these boards and commissions have. That even though we're kind of on a summer recess with Environmental Commission, that the work continues. So especially to Mr. Jeffers and Ms. Walker, thank you for continuing to move the ball forward, even though we're not having our regular meetings right now. She did mention October 12th is going to be the community cleanup. We welcome all the hands we can get on deck for that. And October 19th, our most popular event is community shredding. I believe that is it for me. So I hope everybody had a wonderful 4th of July holiday. I'd like to thank Mr. Bonacci for his thrilling review of a concert that I enjoyed myself very much. And I'm also looking forward to attending the somewhat slower tempo Billy Joel Elton John Faces concert this Friday with my family. So that's all I have, Mr. Still. Thank you so much.
Mr. Scafidi.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Good evening. I too attended the Finance Committee meeting that was held earlier, and I'll yield that report to the Finance Chairman. I also attended the Safety Committee meeting, and I know that Mr. Barr did a great job of recounting what the discussion was at that meeting. However, I did want to add one thing to there. We talked about several residents in the Bell Meadow, Dayflower area had talked with me regarding a crosswalk by the park that goes across the street right on Bell Meadow that they cross to go down to Dayflower. And I'd met out there last year with the engineer, and they wanted some kind of stoplight there or something like that, which was not we were not able to do. But in talking about crosswalks, I had asked if we could at least put a crosswalk there, just paint something on the road and put up a sign that says crosswalk to, just alert people that there'll be children and actually mothers, a lot of mothers and fathers pushing strollers to cross there as well. So when Amy and I met there last year, she decided that the crossing ramps that are there, the crosswalk ramps, are not positioned in the right spot in order to put the crosswalk in there. So she mentioned to me that she would add it to this year's the 2019 sidewalk program. And so that is in the program for this year. When they start the program, which we just passed, I believe, 2 weeks ago, they will be redoing those crosswalk ramps. And then at that time, they'll line up on both sides so they can paint a crosswalk across the road and at least put some signage there that alerting people that people are crossing there. So I just wanted to add that in that area, that crosswalk will be coming. The Board of Zoning Appeals has not met since our last meeting. However, we do have a meeting tomorrow night right here in the council chambers at 6:30. So we'll be meeting then. And then finally, I just wanted to, again, congratulate Captain Gina DeVito Straub on her promotion. She was just promoted, and we saw the swearing in earlier tonight, and I did want to congratulate her for a job well done. I think she's a good addition in our fire department, and I've had several conversations with her and had the opportunity to get to know her better, and so I think that's really good, and I just want to say congratulations. Other than that, that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Ms. McFerrin.
Well, I am on the safety committee, and I would like to thank Mr. Barr for a great recap of tonight's meeting. I also attended the finance meeting and the public hearing. I'd like to thank everyone that came out for the public hearing, and would just like to ask other residents to come to these meetings so we could have a good feel of what the community is looking for. That's why we hold these meetings. None of my other committees met except that there is the Friends of Twinsburg Parks, which is a nonprofit organization that's working on projects to enhance our parks. And we have quite a few residents that are interested in pickleball. And this Friday, those residents, along with the Friends of Twinsburg Parks, are going to be raising money at the park concert to look at converting some tennis courts into pickleball. And anyone that has an interest in either pickleball or Friends of the Parks, the next meeting will be the third Monday next month, and it'll be posted on the website. So look for that. That's all I have. Oh, wait, one more thing. So the senior center has a picnic every year, and it's this Friday at 11 a.m. at Liberty Park. And I just want to point out that the senior center has a whole calendar. I mean, every single day there's something for seniors in our community. And I've actually had residents that moved away and have moved back because they missed the things and services we have for seniors. So anyone that doesn't know about our services, call up to the community center and find out. We do have a great agenda.
It's on the 19th. It's a week from.
Oh, the 19th. Now you have plenty of time to put it on your calendar.
We've missed several days.
There you go.
Okay. Are you done, ma'am?
I'm done.
Okay. Mr. Fury.
Good evening. I attended the Safety Committee meeting, and we had a Finance meeting that was brief so that we could fit it in between that and the public hearing. At the Finance Committee meeting, we talked about the performance audit, and that we have a contract with the state to perform performance audits through all the departments throughout the city in an attempt to get feedback on how we can do things more efficiently and save money in the long run. The initial meetings were yesterday, and they're starting those initial interviews in the coming weeks. We also talked about the 2020 tax budget ordinance that's going on tonight, and that's simply an annual ordinance that we have to pass so that we can collect income tax. We haven't scheduled the next meeting. It probably won't be till September. This is the last meeting prior to the summer break, and in September we'll also start the capital improvement process and the budgeting process for the following year. In our caucus, we discussed some changes to rules of council. This time I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the chart on page 3, breaking the committees down from Group A to E, as well as the language, council president will have no Group A assignments, 3 council members will have Group A assignments in the even years, and the 3 remaining council members have group assignments in the odd years. If a council member of a Group A assignment is given for the year, they will not be given a Group B assignment. With some disparity on the workloads, like Mr. Scafidi in the last 4 years has done over 140 meetings, and and by far had scheduled more than anybody else. And by implementing this, it'll balance the workloads for the council members. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Sam?
I did.
Well, I want to have a discussion because I feel that in this 4-year term that we've reviewed the rules of council twice, I don't see how this necessarily serves the residents, and I think that we have a new board coming in on December 1st after the elections. I mean, this specific area with the president and elections was covered twice already in 4 years, and I was on the board when we first reviewed it.
We're not voting on
This
that.
has nothing on the president.
It doesn't have anything to do with
This
this.
doesn't affect the
Well,
council.
I just think that the whole rules of council, that we've done it twice already in 4 years, and you have other people coming in, and I'm not sure that this.
We have some
Tell me.
members that are in the 130s, 140s, and some members that are less than 30.
Right, and.
So we need to balance it, and this puts a
Okay, well, that's your
process.
opinion, but we just reviewed the rules of council twice in 4 years. So I don't know necessarily that this needs to be happening now. That's my opinion. And I'm not sure
Any other discussion?
anybody else
So
needs to
just to
review.
clarify, Mr. Freer, this is specifically
Chart,
the chart.
right. And the sentence that I read regarding on-year, off-years. Shane, you would call the roll?
Mr. Fury?
Yes?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
No.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, next, we're on to the mayor. Got you this time.
Good evening, everyone. I also just want to talk a little bit about the public hearing and thank those that came out. You know, council and myself are always put in challenging positions when we make decisions. A lot of times the decisions we make are without the vote of people. We have to do what we think is the best interest of the city, what we feel is right in our heart. And sometimes those decisions are very difficult, and there's always people on both sides. Some that are in favor of it, some that are in opposition to it. This particular situation is not the case. This is something that, if council approves it, is going to go to the vote of the people. And again, this is something that I think council is considering because we all have spoken with people who support the rezoning and the possibility of bringing in a particular residential product that is very much in demand here in Twinsburg. We heard someone share that himself and 12 other residents that live near him are empty nesters and would love to have this opportunity to downsize, to the people that would just love to keep it as open space. So, you know, I'm not sure what council's going to do tonight. I've always supported this rezoning just because I spend a lot of time talking to the residents that are looking for, we had residents from Glen Eagles Lane, and they're in a very good position right now because they can probably sell their properties in about 3 hours if they list it. They're very much in demand here in Twinsburg. We just don't have enough of those single-story cluster-type homes that people can downsize to. But with being said, I mean, it's one of those situations where I think that things may have changed in 3 years. I mean, it was 3 years ago that this was on the ballot. And it's something that I know council's not making the decision whether we rezone it or not. Council will be making the decision to put it back out to a vote and let the people decide. So I guess I just wanted to share that because I do appreciate people coming out. I appreciate the conversations I've had with all the residents regarding this. And I'm sure council's going to make whatever decision they feel is appropriate tonight. So moving on. Things going on around Twinsburg, and Chris may mention this, but we've got sidewalk leveling that's going to be starting up. So we have equipment that we purchased back in 2015, where we come around and we're leveling sidewalks. We're in a few communities that actually do that, but we're going to be starting that program for the summer. We're going to be hydrant paving. I'm sure Chief Morgan's going to mention we flushed about 900 hydrants so far out of 1,900. So there's going to be guys around both stripping, painting, and flushing hydrants all over the city. Council's getting ready to go on their break. So when we come back, hopefully both projects on Route 91 are done, or very close to done. Amy's not here, so she can't throw anything at me. But that's the goal, is to have it done before school starts. So we're hoping that will happen. And when we come back, hopefully we're celebrating the conclusion of those two projects. Things that have gone on, our Rock the Park concert series is well underway. Mr. Bonacci here shared his enthusiasm regarding our heavy metal night, and we did have a great response for it. And then I also attended the Cleveland Pops Orchestra, which is always a fun event. We had a great night. It was hot, but it was another sold-out show. So it was all the volunteers and everyone that helps put that on with our Park and Rec department did a great job. One's coming up. We've got Face-to-Face this Friday, and then on the 26th we have Disco Inferno, which is always a really fun concert. I'll make sure I get Chuck Bonacci a ticket for Disco Inferno. I'd love to see him there. So the concerts are still underway and going out throughout the summer. Things are happening. We've been picked up by Channel 8. So the Kenny Crumpton is actually coming out to the golf course, is going to showcase the restaurant and the banquet facility. And that is on the 19th also, so the morning of the 19th. So watch Channel 8. You're going to see Twinsburg showcase there. The senior picnic, which Ms. McFerrin mentioned, is also on the 19th. And if you're a senior in town, I would encourage you to attend that event. It's a lot of fun. We set up tents over at Liberty Park, and it's catered, and it's a great time for everyone. Some things that I've done the last couple of years, Howard Hanna out of Aurora has asked me to speak and give a highlight of basically what's going on in Twinsburg. I kind of do a mini state of the city, kind of showcasing more of what is relevant to the real estate market, but I'm always encouraged by that request to come speak because we do have a very popular place to live. I mean, Twinsburg is a great community. Twinsburg has a lot of amenities, and the agents that are selling the homes within Twinsburg are very much in tune with what we have to offer and what our market is like. So I always enjoy speaking to that group. A couple big events coming up before we come back from break. We've got Twins Days, which is August 2nd through the 4th. Again, it's an event that's going to take over our town as it always does. Theme this year is Home for the Holidays. So we had a meeting today and had everything. We got everything I think planned out, and ready for all the chaos. And then National Night Out, which this will be our 4th year for National Night Out. It's on August 6th. And I encourage you to come out. We really, the attendance has grown every single year. It's a great event. It's a community police event. It's great for kids. It's great for seniors. It's great for everyone. We have usually the SWAT there. We have the Rangers from Metro Parks there. We have police force from both Reminderville. We have the sheriffs there. We typically have a bomb squad there. So we gather all these different vehicles that the kids can kind of see and touch and feel. And we have a donut eating contest, which was a big success last year. And we have a canine demonstration, and so I anticipate getting chased down and bit by Caesar, and then we have our safety force challenge. So it's a really fun night. Hopefully the heat holds off. It's always been really hot, but we feed everyone hot dogs and chips. So I encourage you to come out, and that's usually around 5 o'clock, I think, on August 6th. So usually 5 to 8 or so. And that is all I have this evening. And so we'll go on with department head reports. Chris, you want to start?
Good evening, Council. Well, as the mayor stated, we will be moving into hydrant painting and the sidewalk leveling. We're scheduled to do the hydrant painting beginning next week, and the sidewalk leveling will probably begin in early August. We weren't able to complete the roadway crack sealing program because of weather this spring, so we'll be taking that into the fall, and we've got the material we need, so we'll get the equipment back from the company that we borrow that from, and we'll go on with that program. We also have a sanitary sewer repair scheduled for Gettysburg Drive, and we're just getting out. Obviously, we're a little bit behind on restoration of landscaping areas around where Cleveland Water made repairs, hydrant replacements, and those things. So we're now getting into full swing with those restorations. We've had a few calls on that asking when that's going to be done. So that is starting. Roadway maintenance, we've switched over from pothole patching to larger area repairs. We've been on Gettysburg, Haverhill, the northwest area, northwest of East Idlewood on Ravenna Road. We are going to do a few more areas of Ravenna Road, the areas that didn't get replaced. So we're doing that. And then one of the areas we've had open for a while is the area north of Chamberlain, where there was a city water leak. That's been a while for that because they had a leak, they fixed it, and it actually started leaking again. So they fixed it again, and now we're in there, and they formed up for the curb and gutter today. We're going to pour that and then put the asphalt back. So that should be finished up pretty quick.
Chris, that's Arley, not Cleveland.
No, it was Cleveland Water.
Cleveland Water, yeah.
Yeah, they had to come back because first time they fixed it, they didn't fix it. So,
Okay.
So we had to wait for that. We just got the release on it, so we're ready to go on that. Branch shipping, we just finished the July pickup today. We had 590 stops, so that program's really, it's really going right now.
For residents, the next round will begin on Monday, August the 5th. In addition, we're still street sweeping, checking the storm areas, doing some striping of parking areas, the city-owned parking lots, roadside berm mowing, grass cutting, parks maintenance. I mean, we're in full swing right now. So we'll continue all those programs. And I just wanted to let you know, too, the last city auction list that you approved, it almost all sold. We have a couple items that didn't sell. So we have a lot of success with that program. But we've moved through that, so we're finalizing that. And just the rest of the, and I did want to mention Tinker's Creek cleaning. We did get Tinker's Creek cleaned. There is an area that our guys refer to the South Ridge, which is close in proximity to Dodge Middle School. There's a large tree that's up against that bridge. We have to return to get that out, but everything else is out, and the Tinker's Creek is clear. So
Went through the whole creek?
yep,
Chris?
did the whole creek, and then we will check it again. You know.
Okay.
So.
Chris, as part of the branch chipping, are you also doing the tree trimming? Is that part of the same program?
It's not part of the same
Okay.
program, but yeah, we actually do a lot of that in the wintertime.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
kind of surprising.
Do you know offhand about the resident on Demi Drive that I had emailed you about? Was that one done? I can follow up with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe it was, but I can't,
Okay.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
sure. I don't want to
Okay.
say yes for
That's
sure.
fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll call you. Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
sounds good.
Chris,
Thank you.
how much did we rake in from the auction?
I don't know that offhand, but I can get you that.
Okay.
We didn't have a lot of vehicles, but yeah, when we have a lot of vehicles, we do pretty good. But we've been doing really well on 5-ton trucks and trucks that we think are just worth nothing. Well, I tell you what, they come from Pennsylvania. They come from out of state to buy those things. So we do pretty well.
Okay.
I want to thank you guys. You're doing a beautiful job restoring the pavilion over at the golf course. It looks absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you
Yeah.
guys do great work.
They really do. I'm proud of those guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks. Chief?
Good evening. I'm going to forego my usual report tonight for brevity's sake. Just 2 items. Please keep the family of Josh McTarian in your thoughts. It'll be 11 years this Saturday that he passed away. And I just wanted to, I believe you forgot to mention one event for National Night Out, Mayor. Something about the dunk tank.
Oh.
Yeah.
Forgot about
So
There's a
I think we're both going to spend some time in the dunk tank, so you can pay your money and try to knock either one of us into the water, and the proceeds are going to our community, right?
Our community hunger
Center. So that might even be some more incentive for people to come out to National Night Out. So I hope to see you all there. It certainly is a wonderful, wonderful event, always enjoyable. And that's it. Enjoy your recess.
Thank you.
Chris, are we doing anything over at the memorial this year?
Not this year because we normally would do that on the Friday before in the golf outings this year. So we'll have a moment of silence at the golf outing.
Okay. It's disappointing.
Chief?
Good evening. This month, in the month of June, the fire department responded to 256 calls for service. That's our highest monthly total so far this year, and where we have been lagging behind last year's totals up to this point, we have surpassed last year's year-to-date totals. So with a total of 1,461 calls. A couple of notable events. On the 2nd of June, we responded to Bainbridge with our Tower 1 and a crew of 3 to assist with the house fire. And on June 25th, responded to a car fire on Ravenna Road that resulted in the driver being burned. The fire was quickly extinguished, and mutual aid squad from Macedonia transported the patient down to Akron Children's Hospital for treatment. And through the course of the month, we had 4 calls that were intoxication and or overdose related, one of which resulted in a fatality. Fire prevention completed 13 inspections and worked on 3 fire investigations, and also completed 22 hours of public education, many of those hours concentrating on 6 extinguisher classes that were contacted 237 people. We also completed over 390 hours of training. For points of interest, the weather warning sirens were tested on the 6th, and they were all functional and operated properly. And as I updated you earlier, we are anticipating selecting a person for full-time employment to fill our 1 vacancy by the end of the month. And Captain DeVito was sworn in this evening, and as was already mentioned, we flushed 900 hydrants. So we're almost halfway finished for this year. That's my report.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Larry?
Good evening. I'll be pretty brief. We experienced a stormwater basin failure at 2307 and 2305 East Aurora Road. That's the Freeway Business Park condominiums. They're industrial condominiums immediately west of Canyon, the Blue Canyon. And a number of issues from deferred maintenance on that basin. We've contacted the property owners. They've responded, and we hope to see a engineering analysis of the basin that we can then get back to them on after it's reviewed by the engineer. So that's moving forward. As you are aware, we've had 2 retirements: Russ Rodick, the chief building official, and Dennis Kabala, the housing inspector, part-time housing inspector. It's left the building department relatively short-handed. We're currently in the process of replacing the chief building official and are seeking candidates. We've also conducted interviews for a part-time housing and zoning inspector. We had 2 well-qualified applicants, and we'll likely be making an offer to one of those. Council received a copy via email of the downtown redevelopment program preliminary plan. I wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to review that and would like to schedule a meeting after break to talk about that further, and would hope that in the interim you'd recommend that it go to Planning Commission so Planning Commission can have some input on the designation of the areas and the purpose of the districts.
So you need a motion to send the downtown district to planning for review.
Correct.
Okay.
We're also in the process of reviewing, as I mentioned previously, electric vehicle charging stations. We have had expert contractor provide us with feedback on our proposed locations. We have at least 3 excellent locations. We're getting cost estimates now, and by the time you get back, we should have the cost estimates and the plan ready and submitted to NOPEC, or at least ready to submit to NOPEC. And lastly, the Twinsburg Community Improvement Corporation will meet on Monday the 15th at 6 p.m. here in the jury room. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Sarah?
Good evening, Council. So yes, we will be working on a performance audit over the summer, and we'll have some more information for you when we come back from break. We're also finishing up our financial audit. We expect that to be completed by the end of the month. The city has supplied the auditors with all the requested information. The 2020 budget worksheets have been distributed to all the department heads. And I also had some training with Chief Nova today for a new budgeting analytical software that might help us get a little bit more detail in our budgeting process. Interest earnings are up 30% over this time last year. We've earned $125,000, whereas last year we were at $96,000 this time. And next week we have our sewer billing module. say thank you to everyone for the food drive. It was a big success. And also that there are $1 hot dogs this week. And that's
Where's Chuck Bernard?
Everything comes through finance, so it's great.
He left early.
All right.
He did.
That's-
This is the best part.
You call him.
That's all we have this evening.
Okay. Okay, next we are on to legislation. First is ordinance 57, 2019.
An ordinance rezoning certain property, parcel 64-05379 in Twinsburg, Ohio, owned by the city of Twinsburg from PUD and public facilities to R5 single-family cluster district use.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 57, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion?
I just wanted to point out that the PUD parcel is 5.19 acres, and the public facilities parcel is 14.01 acres.
Mr. Scott, I just want to add. I know this is a contentious issue, and as a junior member of council, at least Mr. Bell and I, this is the first time we've been voting on this. I think regardless of whether R5 is the best use of that property, the bigger issue at play here is allowing people to make that choice for themselves. As it stands right now, if the city were to sell that property, we could build a salt dome or a service garage on the public facilities portion, or a grave site, or the graveyard, Mr. Mason, is that PF?
Well, I mean, a city owned, so you can make those decisions, yeah.
So, you know, I prefer not to see that happen. It's a beautiful residential area, and so, I mean, maybe the issue is that it just stays. But the city has a lot of parkland. I know it's been mentioned before. I sit on the environmental commission. I think it's important to note that the city of Twinsburg owns more property than any other entity in Summit County outside of Summit County. And I think that shows a commitment by certainly councils previous to me to preserve land in Twinsburg. I am going to vote in support of putting this on the ballot because I do believe it's this legislative body's opportunity to let the residents decide. And I know that this has been on before. I would like to just say that I feel that this should really be up to the people and not up to everybody up here. So I'm going to allow that opportunity to happen. Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
I have one more thing, sorry.
Go ahead.
Mr. Maestros, Ms. Clark this evening, and I know Mr. Steele has mentioned it in the past, has suggested that if this property were to be rezoned and then subsequently sold, any proceeds of that would go directly to pay down the debt of the clubhouse. Is that something, what do we need to do as a body to ensure that that happens? And what?
Well, if, two steps that would have to happen. First of all, if this goes on the ballot and it's rezoned, at some point in time, then the city's gonna make a decision to sell the property. And that sale will come with conditions to make sure it's developed in the manner that the city would want to see happen. And then in that legislative act, that's when you would take the steps to earmark the proceeds.
So that language would be put at the point of sale at that point?
Well, the legislative act, when we make that decision,
Right.
I mean, that would happen presumably if it passes sometime after November, but it could be years, depending on when that property is actually sold. And I would get together with finance and see what we would have to do to earmark those funds, if that's council's decision, but that can be done.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
When we talked earlier, Dave, it was brief. It was coming down the hallway to get in the chambers, and we talked about that. I won't support the rezoning unless we have something before this goes to the ballot in writing from us, a resolution from this council stating that if and when we sell it,
that money's going to the clubhouse debt, period. And I think it has to happen before it goes on the ballot to rezone the property. Absence that, I'm not going to support rezoning the property. I'll vote for it to go on the ballot now, but if we don't do that, I'll work against it as hard as I can. So that's how I feel about this.
I don't have an issue with using it for debt service at all.
Well, yeah, but I want it before it goes on the ballot, only because I think the residents need to know that there is at least a real reason why we are doing what we're doing. A demonstrable reason to the residents that this is what
That's a
we're going to do.
resolution. You could pass a resolution prior, in August or September.
Yeah, when we come
So
back.
say that, I mean, you could do that prior to the deal of the sale of the land. Say it's the intention of any proceeds from the sale of this land in the future be poured towards the debt so, I mean, that, I believe you can do that, Mr. Maestros.
You can do that. My conversation with Mr. Steele was that if it happened, for example, before the time the city finalized the bonds, when
Yeah.
you're locking in, then you're simply paying down that amount. But if the sale happens after those long-term bonds are paid down, then that's the conversation
Right.
I had with Sarah, and where we go, whether or not mechanically how we would pay a lump sum payment that's not paying off the entire amount of the bonds, but reducing it. We can do it, we just have to make sure we remain
Right.
flexible when we go out.
Right, so, but the resolution could just say the intent is, and that we're subject to do that in the future. The mechanics of that time would just have to research and be
Yeah,
done.
if I understand, what we need to do is, if and when we go out for the long-term financing on the clubhouse, we need to make sure that we don't run into any penalties if we prepay a large amount of the principal on the thing.
Exactly.
Okay. So,
And the other
that's what I
thing,
think we should do.
it could take a long time to find the buyer that's willing to buy the land, how the city would like to see it developed as well. So there's a,
It could, I think if we were going mixed use, okay, with the commercial parts in it. I think that the chances of a developer coming in here and going with the condos or cluster homes is greater, because we are a great place to live. But I will say one thing. I have talked to a lot of people about it, and while you have, and Ted has said that he's talked to people that are all out for downsizing and moving into it. I haven't talked to a lot of people that have said that. Okay, maybe I don't think I'm talking to the wrong people. The people that I've talked to haven't said they want to downsize and move into that type of housing.
I call it right sizing.
Okay. Downsizing, right side.
Brian, I have.
Yes, Sam.
Yeah, I just want to say that, being a junior member on council, Mr. Barty spoke very eloquently, and I agree with everything that you said there. I think that you made some very good points. By the same token, Mr. Bellin, the same thing. I have no problem taking the proceeds of that property, as Mrs. Clark mentioned, and putting that down on the debt of the clubhouse, too, if in fact we're fortunate enough to get this rezoned and find a buyer for that property. I feel like I'm a mockingbird here, but like the mayor mentioned earlier, I mean, I've had people that tell me that we need more housing like that. Truthfully, myself, I wouldn't mind, having something like that too. I think we do need that when the time comes. I mean, I would like to stay in Twinsburg, and that would be the kind of housing that I would be looking for. So maybe on a little selfish note, I am going to support putting this on the ballot. And, it's, I don't have the power to just go ahead and rezone it myself, as everybody knows. It's going to be up to the vote of the people, and I hope maybe this time they reconsider, and we can rezone that property and put it to some really good use. And that's all. I just think I think it would be a good thing for our city. So that's all. Thank you.
I also agree that we should take any proceeds from this land. I think I was early on that, And that's why I would like to see this land rezoned. I think that it's, with all the development that we have in that area, it's a good time to do that. I believe there is a shortage of downsizing housing with single floor bedrooms that are somewhat maintenance-free. And I'm in favor of putting this on the ballot. But any proceeds, absolutely, I would like to see them go through to offset any debt. Thank you.
Okay. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Okay, 57, 2019 passes 6-0. Next is ordinance 58, 2019.
An ordinance rezoning certain property, parcel 64-08056 in Twinsburg, Ohio, owned by the city of Twinsburg from C1 commercial use to R5 single-family cluster district use.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 58, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McFerrin seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out again, this, the conversation is very similar to the last ordinance. This is not council's, we are not rezoning this. This is putting this to the will of the people. Also, this particular property parcel is 0.8 of an acre, so it's not huge. So, thank you.
This is the dentist office property that was on the corner of 91 and Glenwood that the roundabout sits right into, and currently that land is being used as the work site for the equipment. I can't imagine that there's a commercial business that would fit on that corner any longer with the changes and actually the land that had to be acquired to make the roundabout work. So, thank you.
Scott?
I have nothing.
Okay. Joanne?
Nothing.
I would reiterate the same thing. I would tie this into the same thing, that if we sell it, it's in that resolution that we're going to put that money to the golf course. Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 58, 2019 passes 6-0. Next is ordinance 59, 2019.
An ordinance adopting the tax budget of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2020, and submitting the same to the county auditor.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 59, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
This is an annual ordinance that we do so that we can, by submitting a tax plan to the county, we're allowed to collect property tax. City currently only collects property tax on 0.6 mils that are used for police and fire pensions. And the park debt, excuse me.
Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 59 passes 6-0. Next is ordinance 72, 2019,
71.
or 71, excuse me, 71, 2019.
An ordinance accepting the revised plat for the Cornerstone Business Park Phase 1 and 2 subdivision plat, date stamped, received April 17th, 2019.
It stands on its first reading, correct? Okay, next is ordinance 72, 2019.
An ordinance authorizing the purchase of a truck and plow assembly equipment for use by the service department and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to declare ordinance 72, 2019 an emergency and place it on its third and final reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah, the reason for the emergency is the price of the truck is going up come August 1st.
Right, and they probably would like it as quick as possible.
As quick as possible, yeah.
Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause passes 6-0. Next, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 72, 2019. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any further discussion?
This is an F-250 4x4 truck that costs $28,222.
Right, and they're gonna put a plow on it, and say, right, for the winter, for plowing driveways. Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay, next is Resolution 73, 2019.
A resolution requesting and authorizing the Summit County Board of Elections to place upon the City of Twinsburg ballot at the general election of November 5th, 2019, the question of whether Ordinance 57, 2019, rezoning certain property from PUD and public facility use to R5 Single Family Cluster District be approved.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 73, 2019. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion?
This is just what's sent down to the Board of Elections for the ballot language to be voted on in the fall.
Okay. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Resolution 73, 2019 passes 6-0. Next is Resolution 74, 2019.
A resolution requesting and authorizing the Summit County Board of Elections to place upon the City of Twinsburg ballot at the general election of November 5th, 2019, the question of whether Ordinance 58, 2019, rezoning certain property from C1 commercial use to R5 Single Family Cluster District use be approved.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 74, 2019. Is there a second?
A second. Yield.
Mr. Barr seconds. Is there any discussion on this? It's the same thing as the ballot language for the second part. Okay. Shannon, please call the roll.
Sorry, who was the second? Thank you.
Scott.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele? Mr. Finch is asking that Ordinance 71 actually be placed on an emergency. That is the
Sure.
one about accepting the revisions
just-
for the plat for Cornerstone.
All right. How we back up, Dave?
Just make a motion to add the
Amend it by adding the emergency clause.
Make a motion to
I
reconsider.
don't think you're
70
making a motion to reconsider, because all we did was read it. You had to reconsider when we didn't take it.
That's true, we only read it once.
We only read it, so
Okay.
all we have to do is make a motion to adopt, add the
our
emergency
standard.
clause, and then,
Make a motion to amend it, motion to adopt.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we amend Ordinance 71, 2019 by adding our standard emergency clause to it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McFerrin seconds. Any discussion? Mr. Finch?
this is,
Why do we need the emergency clause?
Yeah, this will enable the property to be finalized and sold while you're on break. Otherwise, they'll have to wait until everything's finalized
September.
and come back after the break and they'll delay the start of the building.
Okay, thank you.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay, now that we've added the standard emergency clause, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 71, 2019 as an
As an
emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Do we have to vote on the emergency?
We are right now. This is,
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, he
Then
we motion for adoption.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You need to
Okay.
place it on third final
We
reading.
place it on its third and final reading.
Thank you. Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay. The motion to put it on its third and final reading and adopt the emergency clause passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 71, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Scafidi seconds. Any more discussion, folks?
This was approved by Planning Commission and recommended to council.
Okay, good.
Good point.
Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 71, 2019 passes 6-0. Now we are on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous.
Yeah, we did, and then we went back to 71.
Scott? Anything new?
I'm doing a pretty boring job right now. I am not
Okay.
else to add this evening.
Okay. Joanne?
Well, I'm going to mention something, because I am teaching paddleboard fitness at the water park, at the outdoor water park, and volunteering. It's a great workout for any age, well, it's only for 14 up, but any fitness level. So if you want to try something new and different, tomorrow at 6:15 or 12:15 on Saturdays. So I'm inviting everyone to take my class. It is. I've had 2 council spouses attend. I'd love to see all you guys on my boards, but anyway.
How wide are these boards?
They are 3 feet wide and 8 feet long.
No, not big.
You'll fit on it fine.
Oh, we can sit on it? That's a start. Okay. Next, Mr. Bellin.
Thank you. The Twinsburg Historical Society will hold a barn sale fundraiser in the Freeman Mail Parch Barn on Friday, July 12th and Saturday, July 13th. All proceeds will be used to restore the Moses Roach House, formerly known as the Chamber House. For additional details, please go to twinsburghistoricalsociety.org. Also, real quick, I wanted to thank the Twinsburg Police Department for their additional presence in Corbett's Farm and in Meadowood, specifically for them actually writing traffic tickets. With all the additional traffic that we've had through Corbett's based on the construction, I really do appreciate the increased police activity keeping our children safe. Hope everyone has an outstanding summer, and see you in late August. Nothing further, thank you.
Mr. Scafidi.
Thank you, but I have nothing this evening. Nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Fury.
I'd like to make a motion that we send to the Planning Commission the Downtown Historic District for their review.
The Downtown Redevelopment District.
Downtown Redevelopment District, sorry. No notes.
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any further discussion?
This is basically, Mr. Fury, just to allow the Planning Commission to review the Downtown Redevelopment District as it's been presented to us.
Yes.
For recommendation and approval to council.
Yes.
Okay. Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
I would again like to congratulate Captain Gina DeVito Staub. I have seen her work and seen all the accolades she's got from all the study and hard work she's put into this department over the last 15 years. And I'm very glad that she was able to get that promotion and stay in our department. Also, I know that they're going to do a moment of silence at the Josh McTerrian outing on the 12th this Friday, but I would like to ask that we all keep he and his family in our prayers on the Saturday the 13th. And that's all I have. Thank you.
This time of year gets to be something for me because I worked with Josh, and it bothers me every year that somebody is still alive and the sentence hasn't been carried out. I like the moment of silence at the McTerrian at the golf outing, but I'm really disappointed that we're not doing something out front here at the memorial, whether it's
We could have done it Thursday, we could have done it on Monday. I think we should be doing something out there, and I'm not, I don't know if the members of the police department, other than the chief, were asked whether they wanted something done. I would have thought that they would have wanted something done out there again. That's it. Okay, next on the agenda is
The
mayor. The mayor, I'm sorry. I need to look to the right more often.
I thought you were
That's
gonna
all
say
right.
birthday.
No,
Executive
nothing
session.
really further for me. Just want to wish council a relaxing and
Yeah.
hope you enjoy your break and looking forward to resuming it in the end of August. That's it.
Yeah, and we are now on break until the second meeting in August, correct?
Correct.
Which, do you have?
27th, I believe.
Around August the 27th. Everybody enjoy the next 6 weeks. So hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I was at the Pops concert on the 3rd. It was really pretty cool. If you were there, you heard the young lady from Aurora sing, and that's some talent. She was very good. And our fireworks that night were awesome. Okay. Next on the agenda is, I'd like to make a motion, we excuse Mrs. Stauffer's absence. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Absolutely.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is, we are adjourned. Good night. Thanks for coming.